Hey, welcome back. In this video, you will learn how to build a basic chatbot from the ground up using SmythOS. We'll cover everything from choosing a template to debugging your creation. Let's join Mike as he guides us through this hands-on process.
We're actually going to start not just introing you, showing you UI, throwing some components on there, but we're actually going to do some quote-unquote agent building. We're going to specifically focus on using the LLM component to do some things, and we're going to build a quote-unquote chatbot. And once we finish with this part, you and I will build a chatbot collaboratively and then move forward. All right, so with that, let's get into the agenda specifically. It's like, well, where do you start? I've shown you that during the previous overview, but we really want to nail that home and make sure that people understand, you understand what a workflow is, all that fun stuff. There are some particular things about the chat embodiment. I demonstrated some of them. Things went by very fast. I get that. So we're going to look at that again. And we're going to look at, and actually, I'm going to induce some problems in my process, problems that you may run into as well, and that you may want to decide to fix. And we will go over how to do that. There will also be some more advanced topics that we'll cover on Thursday that will come out of that, but I think you'll enjoy and be able to work on it. So we're going to go from blank canvas to working agent. And we're going to start by using a template to give you an idea, and then we're going to literally start from scratch and do that. All right. And with that, I'm going to switch over to it's this one.
As Mike emphasizes, we are moving from theory to practice. Pay close attention as he demonstrates the step-by-step process.
All right, so this is a SmythOS version where we are starting from scratch, essentially, and hence the start tour at the bottom here. And we have a number of agent templates, but we've got to put some information in the vault. Do you guys remember what that was? We need to put in the API call, right? Or I'm sorry, the API key, not call. So to do that, it's not rocket science. You just come over into the vault, and then you go ahead and because you're looking at the service here that's specific for OpenAI, you would go ahead and put in your API key here, your vault key. If you're using Claude, which is the same thing as Anthropic, same thing. Google, same thing, right? These are just API keys, nothing really complex here. I like to have at least two. For me, I like Anthropic and OpenAI. Grok is very cool in that you can work with some pretty cool agents, and the agents or the LLMs that they have trained are very, very top-notch. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create a chat agent. So we're going to look at actually creating a chat agent based on an existing template, right? And so how do you actually use a template for SmythOS? So what do? You click this remix button, and then it transforms your world.
Setting up your API keys is crucial for your chatbot to function. Now, let's see how Mike starts building the chatbot.
And all of a sudden, in your world, you have what is now a chatbot agent. And in this case, it's actually going to be a chatbot with your mobile phones. This one is actually working with Twilio, which is a service. Here, let's do this. Sorry. So Twilio is a company that has a service that allows you to actually use an API to send and receive texts and then respond to them accordingly. It's relatively cheap. It's definitely not free, but you have to add your information into here. This is the information that you will need, and you would see, if you look here and you see this kind of setup, what this means is that, hey, we want you to go ahead and add your Twilio SID account here, right? So to do that, I would go, can anybody guess? How about the vault? And so what I would do is add a key here. Let's call this key. Sorry, I always end up doing that. Oop, oh, sorry, it's actually the other way around. I can do that. And then there's the key name. And I'm going to use this for API calls. Now I can use Twilio SID in my agent. So if I go back over to my new agent here, and I go over to my LLM prompt, I need that SID. I'm going to go into here and look for the SID. I'm sorry, the place I would put the SID is actually here. This is the agent variable. And then what I can do is pop that in, and there's my SID. And I'm going to put in my phone number. And I want to replace that with the phone. And I'm going to put in my WhatsApp phone number, which is actually going to be the same phone number in this case. And there we go. Okay. So now we have all of the variables that are put into place as agent variables. We're working with this, so we would actually need, believe it or not, we would actually need the real account ID and account information here. In this case, we're using them all from agent level variables, and we are going to send an SMS message.
Mike demonstrates how to use a template, but he's also going to show us how to build it from scratch. Let's watch that process.
Okay, that is building this out with a template. In this case, this is a text message chat template. We're going to actually go ahead and build one from scratch. I'm going to call this my chatbot. And I'm going to use no template. And what is the first thing I need to put in every agent to start it out? An API endpoint. So in this case, my endpoint is going to be, let's see, go back to expound on topic, right? That's a little wordy, but it will work. This is going to communicate with the chatbot so that the chatbot knows that you're going to actually use this endpoint to actually make that skill. And I'm going to say, call this topic mansplainer. right? Come on. And we are going to actually use ChatGPT 4.0. And okay. And then what's the last thing we need? API output. And we're going to go for full. And we're going to take the reply. There's no need to change this. I just like to change that. The color red seems to me like it should be something different, right? I like my inputs to be ready to be happy. And blue is fine for the outputs. So what we're going to do is go ahead and
Notice how Mike sets up the API endpoint, the LLM component, and the API output. These are the core elements of your chatbot.
so we are going to go ahead and run this and see what happens. We're going to go ahead and debug. Well, wait a minute. Well, we need to tie these things up. Remember what happened last time? I didn't know which one I was going to go into, so I'm going to go ahead and pretend I don't know where it's going to go and say my topic is fat tire bikes. Okay. So in here we have the headers, which are information we haven't gotten into yet, but just so you can see it, you'd see kind of where this is coming from, what it's about. And then we have a body. And then it gets my topic is fat tire bikes. But in this case, I want to only just pass on. I don't want to pass on all that information. That's my topic, but we'll just try not passing or passing in the full structure, right? Which is going to be the topic, and this is my topic. In other words, the name and then the value, which is fat tire bikes, right? I'm going to pull that into there, and then I'm going to give it as output. So what's going to happen if I try and debug this? The nice thing, I love this about Smith. It remembers your last debug inject values, and not a big deal if it's fat tire bikes, but if you have a 200 line JSON file and you're copying and pasting it in every time, it can be a little tedious. But yeah, here we go. So there we now have, we've done this. We now have the headers again. We've got my topic, and then we have that topic being passed on to our LLM. We want to see what happens to that LLM. And when we do that, we end up with the background and the subtopics. Pretty cool. So let's see what happens. And that is pretty much going to be given back as a response for the API output as well. And what you'll notice here is the JSON. This is a JSON object inside of these curly braces, which is that object in our case is the reply. And that object has some nodes. One is background and the other is subtopics. The values are, one is a text or a string value here, and the other one is an array or list of values. That's, you could tell when you've got an array here in JSON because you've got this nice little square bracket. I realize this is a little esoteric, but this is kind of the lingua franca of Smith, and you need to kind of understand what this is. This is called JSON. This is an object. These are a name pair value. And in this case, this is a name pair value, but the value is actually an array. You could also have an array, instead of having just subtopics, you could have subtopics that were an array of additional name pair values.
Debugging is a crucial step in the development process. Watch how Mike uses the debug feature to test and refine the chatbot.
All right, so I've got this. It works. I think it does what I want it to do. And so you may be wondering, how in the world does output that looks like this make any sense to send to a chatbot? It's just, nobody wants to see things in this format. And this is one of the great things about the chatbot from SmythOS.
Understanding JSON is key to working with SmythOS. Pay attention to how Mike explains its structure and importance.
It is actually an LLM in and of itself. It will actually look to your endpoint and its instructions for when to use it, and then it will take back that JSON and format it in ways that actually make sense within the context of a conversation. So, for example, I have given it very clearly, like, for example, a name pair value of FedEx tracking number and then the tracking number. Guess what? The SmythOS chatbot will actually create a link to FedEx directly for that particular tracking number right in your chat interaction. Very, very cool. So it's a very handy thing. That's a great thing about it. Okay, so what's our topic going to be? Let's go ahead and do the same topic. So we've now got a function call. It's there, and you can see it, the my topic, or expound on topic. My topic is fat tire bikes, which is exactly what we were looking for. Oh, we've got the debugger going, so we can look at the values as they continue to go on. We don't want to wait for too long where this LLM is going to say, hey, that thing wasn't working. So I'm going to go ahead and run it through. Now it's taking that output. Let's make sure that we're comparing this output with what you see here. Quite a bit different. So your agents don't have to worry too much about formatting, right? Because it's going to take the formatting and actually expound upon it, right? And even add in a little bit of extra. You will need to provide more instructions for your chatbot if you don't want it going and providing more information, right? You can see here, fat tire bikes, also known as fat bikes or fat tire bicycles, are distinct for their oversized tires. I have a fat tire bike. I love it. It's great for Colorado. You can even ride around in the snow. So this is a chatbot. Let's say you want your chatbot to be a little bit more tempered. Right now, we're just using it in inside of my my particular agent in the debug. And if you take a look here at the what this is called, it's not actually a chat bot, it's your test chatbot. This is not the chatbot that you would have in production specifically. That is actually part of your agent. Here's my chatbot, and you can see it's already got an avatar, and we'll have to create a deployment, but this actually allows you here to say, I want to deploy this as a chatbot.
This is a crucial point about how SmythOS chatbots interpret and use the data you provide. As we've seen, building a basic chatbot in SmythOS involves setting up your API keys, creating an agent with the necessary components, and understanding how to debug and interpret the results. In our next video, we'll explore how to deploy and refine your chatbot, taking it from a basic prototype to a polished, production-ready tool. Remember, the key to mastering SmythOS is practice. Don't be afraid to experiment with different settings and components as you build your own chatbots. See you in the next lesson, where we'll take your chatbot to the next level.